Part 1. Confession. "Your husband is paying me to play the role of a mistress," the neighbor blurted out, nervously fidgeting with the fringe of her scarf. "He wants to test your loyalty." Emma froze on the threshold of her kitchen, holding a cup of coffee. A treacherous thought flashed through her mind. Damn, I just advised a couple with a similar situation yesterday. "Sophia, have you lost your mind?" She tried to laugh, but the sound came out shaky. "Daniel isn't like that." "Oh, sure." Sophia plopped onto a kitchen chair. $2,000 a month for accidental meetings with you and attempts to find out about your personal life. I mean, I'm an aspiring actress, but not bad enough to fail at playing the role of a curious neighbor. Emma mechanically took a sip of her now cold coffee. The bitterness on her tongue mixed with the bitterness of realization. Those cozy tea sessions, heartfelt conversations, casual encounters near the entrance. Was it all fake? "How long?" Her voice betrayed her. "How long has he been paying you?" "A month now. Since that office party when you came home past midnight." Sophia sighed. "Look, at first I thought, easy money, just chatting with a neighbor. But then," she hesitated, "you're actually really great. The way you talk about your work, how you help couples. I just can't be part of this anymore. Your husband is a paranoid freak." Emma set her cup down on the table. Her hands were trembling. "The office party, of course." A memory from a month ago surfaced. She really had come home late, tipsy, with messy hair. Daniel hadn't said a word back then, just looked at her with that unreadable gaze. "You know what's the worst part?" Emma let out a bitter chuckle. "I'm a family therapist. Every day I hear stories about infidelity, distrust, and suspicion, and here I am, drowning in the same mess." "Maybe that's exactly why," Sophia leaned forward. "He must be freaking out. Like, his wife listens to people's secrets all day. What if she's just like them?" Emma finished the thought. God, 10 years of marriage down the drain. Her phone buzzed on the table. A reminder. First client in an hour. Emma pictured herself sitting in her comfortable chair, nodding professionally, giving advice about trust and open communication in relationships. She shuddered. "You know what?" She stood up decisively. "I'm talking to him tonight. I'll ask him straight up. What the hell is this?" Sophia fidgeted. "Maybe don't mention that I told you. He made me sign some kind of NDA. Emma waved dismissively. "Screw that. Let him choke on his contract. Just tell me. What else did he ask you to find out?" "Oh, a bunch of things," Sophia squirmed in her seat. "Like whether you stay late at work more often than usual, if any clients keep showing up suspiciously often, and those office parties of yours." "Uh-huh," Emma started pacing. "And that hottie from the 3rd floor, was that his idea too?" "Yep." Sophia gave an apologetic smile. "Daniel wrote a whole script. How I supposedly saw you chatting sweetly with some macho guy outside." "Unbelievable." Emma smacked the table. "And I, like an idiot, actually explained to him that it was just our new neighbor asking about home renovations." Her phone buzzed again. Emma glanced at the screen and grimaced. A message from her husband. "Sweetheart, how about coming home early today? I miss you, heart." "What an actor," she muttered through gritted teeth. "You know, Sophia, I did start noticing something was off. He's been acting jumpy for the past month. Random gifts, romantic dinners, and just 2 days ago, he suggested we go on a beach trip, saying we haven't spent quality time together in a while." Guilt, Emma noted professionally, now fully in therapist mode. Classic case, a person does something wrong and tries to compensate with extra attention. The landline in the hallway rang. Emma flinched. Only colleagues from the counseling center used that number. "Hello?" She tried to keep her voice steady. "Yes, Olivia. No, of course, I remember today's couple. Yes, I'll be ready by 2. Hanging up, Emma leaned against the wall and closed her eyes. In an hour, she'd be counseling a wife who suspects her husband of cheating. Talk about irony. A shoemaker with no shoes, she thought bitterly. Hey, maybe. Sophia hesitated. Maybe this isn't all for nothing? You know that saying? Husband and wife are cut from the same cloth? You both, how do I put it, dig into people's minds. You as a therapist, him as a paranoid maniac. Emma slowly turned to her neighbor. You know, you're right. We're both obsessed with control. I do it in my office, he does it at home. The only difference is I help people and he hires people, Sophia finished for her. Has he done this before? Any other tests? Emma frowned. Memories flashed. Daniel checking her phone. Accidentally dropo. Part 2. Session. Emma took a deep breath and exhaled slowly. Her professional smile was in place, her notes were ready, and her voice was calm. All right, let's begin. What brings you here today? The woman sitting across from her adjusted her elegant blouse and glanced at her husband. He was a solid, well-groomed man in his 40s, with a nervous twitch in his jaw. I suspect my husband is spying on me, the wife said, crossing her arms. Checking my phone, asking odd questions, suddenly, coincidentally appearing where I am. He says he trusts me, but his actions say otherwise. Emma tapped her pen against her notebook. I see. And you, sir? She turned to the husband. Do you believe trust is an issue in your marriage? The man shifted in his chair. No, not really. I just care about her. Is it a crime to be attentive? Attentive? That's one way to put it. Emma forced herself to nod neutrally. Let's explore that, she said smoothly. Caring is wonderful, but when does attentiveness turn into control? Have you ever, say, tested her in some way? The man frowned. What do you mean? I mean, Emma leaned forward slightly. Hiring people to check on her, setting up traps to see how she reacts, secretly investigating her personal life. Anything along those lines? The husband visibly stiffened. His wife turned to him, eyes narrowing. Wait, what is she talking about? Nothing, he forced a laugh. I mean, I would never, but if you did, Emma cut him off, her voice smooth but firm. What would be the reason? Fear of losing her? A need for reassurance? Silence. The wife stared at him, her suspicion deepening. Emma knew that look. She had worn it herself just a few hours ago. You know, she continued, her voice thoughtful, distrust doesn't come out of nowhere. Sometimes it's a projection, a guilty conscience. A person who fears betrayal often has something to hide themselves. The wife inhaled sharply. Oh my God, is that it? Are you hiding something? The husband turned red. Of course not, Emma simply observed. She had no intention of interfering further. Her job was to guide them, not to solve their problems for them. After a long pause, the wife stood up. I need some time to think. Her voice was cold. I suggest you do the same. She walked out. The husband sat there, gripping his knees, staring at the door. Emma cleared her throat. That concludes our session. Feel free to book another appointment if you still have a marriage to save. The man shot her a sharp look but said nothing. He stood up and left. Emma let out a slow breath. What a warm-up. Now, it was time for the main event. Evening. Emma sat on the couch, legs crossed, watching her husband. He was sitting across from her, confused by the sudden demand for a serious talk. So, she began lightly, how long have you been spying on me? Daniel's face twitched. Excuse me? Oh, don't play dumb. She leaned forward. Hiring Olivia? Setting up scenarios to catch me? Planning little tests? Sound familiar? His expression darkened. Where did you hear that? Does it matter? She countered. I know, that's enough. Daniel exhaled sharply and rubbed his face. Emma, listen. It's not what you think. Oh? Then enlighten me. A tense silence. He hesitated. I see so many couples fall apart. And you, of all people, should know infidelity is everywhere. It's in your work. It's in our friends' lives. So you assumed it must be in ours? Emma's voice was sharp. Do you hear yourself? You don't trust me at all, do you? Daniel groaned, rubbing his temples. It wasn't like that. Then how was it? I got paranoid, okay? He threw up his hands. That night, after the office party, you came home late looking different. And I started overthinking, and then I thought, what if I just check? Just a little? Just to be sure. So you paid someone to dig into my life. Daniel swallowed. Yes. Emma let out a humorless laugh. Wow, 10 years of marriage and you'd rather hire an actress than have a simple conversation with your wife. He winced. I know I messed up, but I love you, Emma. I just needed to be sure. And are you? She challenged. Daniel met her gaze. Yes. I was an idiot. Emma studied him for a long moment. You don't get to fix this with flowers and a vacation. I know. She stood up. You'll be sleeping on the couch, and we'll be having a lot of discussions in the coming weeks. Daniel nodded solemnly. Fair enough. She turned to leave but hesitated. And one more thing. He looked up. If you ever try something like this again, her voice was ice cold. I won't need an actress to figure you out. I'll know. And with that, she left the room, leaving him to sit with the consequences of his actions. The end.